Five of the state's largest agencies sat down recently with lawmakers at the state capitol for a series of budget hearings. In a move designed to provide greater transparency in the budget process, the hearings were held out in the House chambers, allowing all state representatives and the public to attend. While the sessions allowed agencies to make their case for the funding they need, they also underscored the significant budget challenges that lie ahead in the 2017 legislative session.
After hearing from the Departments of Education, Transportation, and Higher Education last week, the House began this week listening to a presentation from the agency responsible for the state's social safety net. The Department of Human Services is requesting more than $766 million for the fiscal year that begins July 1st, a significant increase over the current fiscal year budget of about $678 million. DHS Director Ed Lake says rising child welfare costs, combined with cuts in state appropriations and the loss of federal dollars for the Medicaid program, have left the agency struggling.
We have lost a cumulative total of $25 million in the federal share of Medicaid for our waiver programs and other core services. We've absorbed that to date within our budget, but we're at the point where we're not going to be able to absorb it going forward.
Included in the agency's budget request is a supplemental appropriation of $42.7 million, which Lake says is needed to avoid furloughing workers and cutting provider rates. That request includes about $34 million to fund programs for the elderly and developmentally disabled. Additional money is also needed to pay for provisions of the Pinnacle Plan for caring for children in DHS custody and to make up shortfalls in the adoption subsidy program.
We have had to rob Peter to pay Paul. We have had to move wads of money from elsewhere in the department into child welfare, again, to help us mostly to hire the people we need and to keep pace with the rate increases for adoptive and foster homes.
Lake told lawmakers the agency has already cut where it can, reducing or eliminating a number of programs.
We ended our support of the marriage initiative. We significantly reduced Smart Start Oklahoma, the 211 program, and senior volunteer programs. And again, it's not that these aren't beneficial programs, but they're not the essence of what DHS does or is about.
The agency has also cut its workforce by about 680 employees.
Actually, over the years, we've cut about 1,200 positions in DHS. It's skewed by the fact that we added 800 or 900 in child welfare to keep pace with the workload. Over the last 5 years, we've reduced our workforce by 11%, but if you take child welfare out of that total, we've reduced our workforce by 29% in the last 4 years.
Lake says in the past, DHS could use carryover funds to absorb increased costs, but those funds are no longer available.
I'm not trying to say the sky is falling, but I am saying that our situation is grave because of the streamlining and the reduction in all of these areas that gives us no flexibility now going forward.
Representative Pat Ownby, who chairs the House subcommittee which oversees the Department of Human Services, says the agency's financial troubles are not surprising.
We knew last year when the budget was made that they were going to be short this year. We knew there was going to be a supplemental request. And so, of course, what we didn't know was the kind of budget we were going to have this year.
Finding the money for a supplemental appropriation won't be easy.
In this new environment in the House and Senate with the number of new members, it would be difficult for me to do right now. But I do believe that we're going to at least give them the $34 million that are part of this supplemental request, which deals with waivers for the disabled and aging.
Oklahoma already faces a nearly $900 million budget hole, but Representative Jason Dunnington argues the shortfall is actually much deeper.
It would take about $300 million to do a $5,000 teacher pay raise. So if you add those two numbers plus the $600+ million that we would need, that agencies need just to hold steady, you're looking at $1.8, $1.9 billion is the real hole that we're looking at.
Dunnington says the state needs to increase revenue, and he plans to introduce legislation this session that would add 2 more brackets to the state income tax, raising the tax rate to 6% for individuals who make more than $100,000 a year and to 7% for those earning more than $200,000.
7% is what it was for everyone 10 years ago. So all we're doing is we are taking back the tax rate to what it was 10 years ago for the top 3% of earners in the state of Oklahoma. That would raise about $210 million annually.
Voting to increase the tax rate would be a hard sell, requiring supermajorities in the House and Senate. But Ownby says there may be other ways to generate revenue.
We're looking at some revenue enhancers maybe for the future, tax credits. All these votes that many members didn't really want to take, we're past time to do that because this is not going to go away.